Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brandon. So I'm going to try to put together a logical video here to help people understand that this isn't that complicated of a concept. Let's say, by the way, I'm just in here working on the van and it just kind of dawned on me I need to make a video, so I'm taking a break here for a second. Let's say that I draw a square on the pavement, and let's say that a person says, I am not going to step into that square. There's basically three ways that that person is going to end up stepping in that square back here in reality. Way number one is they're forced to. Whether it's Mother Nature forces them into that spot or someone else forces them into that spot. Maybe their boss threatens, I'm going to fire you if you don't step into that square. And then they basically step into the square out of shame and they go back on their word and their promise to you. So that's option number one, outside forces, we'll say. The other two options, because there's a total of three options the way that I see it. The other two options happen internally, okay, in the person's mind. One option is they know that they're lying to you. They know that they're going to step into the square. They just don't want you to think that their intentions are to step into the square because they know that you, for whatever reason, don't want them to step into the square. So they lie to you. And they constantly brag about their intentions, and they might be very articulate and all these different things. And I definitely would never step in that square. My intentions are to stay outside the square. That's my intentions. As they're walking towards the square, they'll verbally assure you, they'll lie to you. I have no intention of walking inside that square. I'm completely against that. I do not want to walk inside that square. As they deliberately walk inside the square, so they lied to you. The third option on the table is it's kind of a mixture between they lie to themselves and or they're completely delusional. So this is kind of where drunk drivers and drug addicts, these kind of people who are on substances, kind of fall into. They don't intend to go out and commit manslaughter when they're drunk behind the wheel. Okay, that's not their intent. I don't believe that they said, hey, let's go kill somebody tonight. But their actions are that they go out and they commit manslaughter when they get into a crash and wreck and kill somebody, right? So those are basically the three options. Again, you're forced by something else or held ransom by something else that you choose to obey. You lie, you know you're going to step in the square, that's your intent, and you lie to everybody as you walk that way. And then option three, you basically don't know what you're doing. You're just out of your mind, so to speak, which is very dangerous. So this is going to be an all-encompassing video about this situation and why I decided that this situation where with what happened with Rick Conti and this GM employee getting fired is really a good point in life to really call a spade about what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a person who brags and is proud about what his intentions are, but his intentions do not line up with his realities, okay? It's very simple. So because what I've done is I've pulled down the videos because we're gonna keep this completely professional. I'm gonna make this a completely professional video. It's gonna be a long one because we're gonna go through this bit by bit by bit. So Rick makes the comments on his YouTube channel that no one has the right to speak for him. He's incorrect. People do have the right, Rick, to speak about what your actions are back here in reality. When you step inside that square, we're allowed to speak about it. You can sit there and say, but that's not what's in my mind. And here's what it comes down to. A juvenile, immature, and or intentional liar cares about what's inside his mind. The rest of us don't care what's inside your mind, buddy. We care about what happens back here in reality. And we are more than welcome to speak about what happens back here in reality. Welcome to America. Freedom of speech. We're going to talk about what you do back here in reality. So let's talk about what Rick did back here in reality. Rick was given photographs of a interior of the upcoming interior refresh on the C8s in general, the Z06s, the E-Rays, the Stingrays, and any other future models. He was shown these photographs and he almost instantly says to the person who's sharing these photographs with him, he almost instantly says, oh, by Justin sharing these photographs, it's going to get Justin fired, or not, excuse me, it's going to get the GM employee fired. By Justin at Horsepower Obsessed sharing these photographs, it is going to get the GM employee who shared them with you, sir, who's now sharing them with me, it's going to get that GM employee fired. So Conti showed that he's fully aware that these photographs are private property, intellectual property of General Motors, that the person who leaked them is committing a quote-unquote, I don't know if you want to call it a crime or just breaking the rules within General Motors, but the person is going to lose their job. Conti is very well aware that it is a problem within General Motors' eyes. Rick Conti, we just got to state the obvious here over and over. We got to go through this whole thing. Rick Conti is an employee of a Chevrolet store. He represents a Chevrolet franchise. So he does have ties to General Motors. He's not just Justin at Horsepower Obsessed, who's just, willy-nilly, doesn't have any ties to GM per se. Conti has contractual agreements with his franchise store, and his franchise store is expected to behave in a certain way, day in and day out, certain conduct. So what Conti did was, he explains that he knows that this is a problem, that it's against General Motors rules, and he tells the person that's sharing these photos with him that he, Conti, would never, ever go inside the square. Oh, I would never go inside the square. That's crazy that Justin went inside the square. You see what I'm saying? I'm using an analogy for those of you not keeping up. Conti basically said that he would never share those photos publicly, and what was Justin thinking? What a fool. So basically, we've only got a few options here of why Conti ends up sharing these photos. Did someone force Conti to share the photos? Did someone at Coughlin Automotive say, Conti, you need to share those photos, or else we're going to be very disappointed with you. It's going to cost you money on your paycheck. Did somebody come and hold Conti at gunpoint and say, hey, man, you better share those photos? So I think we can rule out option number one, which is someone forces you. Sorry, I'm checking some stuff out. Someone forces you to do something. Someone forces you inside the square. I think we can rule that option out. Okay? I think that's fair. So what are the other options? The other options are Rick Conti intentionally lied. And he said, oh, I would never do that, knowing full well that he's about to do it. Now, here's what's interesting. I don't even know that that's what happened. There's another option on the table. Do you guys remember what it is? It's when a person is not in their right mind. It's when their logic fluctuates moment to moment. And this can be due to substances. I don't know if Rick's on anything or not. What I will tell you is, over the years, I have witnessed Rick go from genuinely believing one thing and then pulling a complete 180 and going the other direction. Now, if there's no substances involved, then there's all kinds of other terms where it's like the person's mentally insane, they're out of their mind, they have no self-discipline, okay? Whatever you want to call it. The point is, there's only two options left if Rick was not forced inside the square by someone else. The other two options, guys, are he intentionally lied up front, but he at least explained as he lied that he knew that going inside the square was a problem. He knew that sharing the photos was a problem. And Rick ends up doing it, obviously. So just to fill those of you in who are tuning into the channel, because everybody's like, well, why'd you pull the videos down? Tell us what's going on. I'll explain it all. It's fine. We're going to keep this very professional, because it sounds like Rick Conti and perhaps Coughlin want to take this to the next level. So that's fine. If you don't want to just keep it on YouTube, go ahead. We'll take it to the next level. So this is a very professional video. I'm more than happy to share this video in a courtroom. This is very simple, guys. So when I or anybody else explain what Rick Conti is doing, for instance, if I make a video and I say Rick Conti does not care about people losing their jobs, I'm not really worried about what comes out of Rick Conti's mouth about how he cares. And I'm not really worried about the potential mental fluctuations between when he cares and when he doesn't care, and him not disclosing that to us, that sure, does care half the time or whatever percentage it is, but there's another percentage of the time where he doesn't care, and then he just uploads videos that are going to get a guy fired. He uploads photos that are going to get a guy fired, that he knows are going to get the guy fired. So I really don't care what's going on inside his mind. And when he says no one can speak for me and what I think, bingo, I definitely cannot make rhyme or reason out of what Rick Conti's thinking. That is absolutely 100% correct, Rick. I have no clue what the hell is going through your mind. What I do know is your actions are you stepped inside the square. There's only 3 reasons why you stepped inside the square. So it's up to you to respond now and make a video and explain why you stepped inside the square. Why would you upload photographs that you know are going to get a General Motors employee fired? And a lot of people are missing the point here. They're saying, well, the General Motors employee is the one at fault. Right. But then Conti broadcast it to tens of thousands of people. And he didn't crop the photo as well as Justin did. Justin blocked out the background. And I'm not going to get into details, but there's interesting things about why that matters. So what Conti did was actually worse than what Justin did, because Conti's photos showed the background. It's also worse for Conti that he did that, because it shows that Conti didn't just take Justin's photos, which had already been shared publicly first, and just reshare them and say, hey guys, the damage is already done. Here's the photos Justin shared. And Conti cite his sources that he's sharing from a public source, aka Justin. Instead, what Conti did was he made a choice. Why? I have no clue. It doesn't make sense. It's the dumbest thing that the guy could have ever done. He made a choice to show that he had the original photos because his were not yet cropped. He put up the originals that were not cropped. So he was showing the world, including General Motors, that it's not Justin where he got the photos from. And he's not just mirroring what Justin has already done. He's going a step further. He's showing that he, Conti, is connected to this leak, and that he, Conti, is sharing photos that divulge more information. There's more information in the photograph of what's shown with the background. It allows you to understand that the photos came from inside of a GM facility. So if the guy wasn't going to get fired before who works for General Motors, Conti made it so that now General Motors has to launch an investigation if there wasn't an investigation before, because now there's ample evidence due to Conti's photographs that he uploaded to the world in his YouTube channel. There's now ample evidence that there needs to be a GM investigation, and that it was a GM leak, and that it wasn't just some random bystander taking a photograph. This is someone inside of a GM facility taking photographs. So Conti made it so that the investigation had to happen. Okay? I hope everybody's keeping up. Meanwhile, as this is all unfolding, I realize this is no different than several other situations which aggravated me about Rick Conti, and thus Coughlin Automotive, because Rick Conti is a representative of Coughlin Automotive. So it rekindled all this anger that I had for being treated unfairly and unjustly, and literally being lied to time and time again by both Rick Conti, the general manager at Coughlin Automotive, John, and being put into horrible spots, being asked to go into a horrible position of committing potential title fraud, okay, to the best of my knowledge, by Mr. Coughlin himself. It's a very uncomfortable position, to say the least, to deal with Coughlin Automotive. Because what I can tell you is this: Rick Conti has factually made videos that if you don't have a contract with a deposit, you have nothing. Their word means nothing. They are completely prepared to take you to court if you want to go to court and try to battle them. They have no shame in the fact that they can verbally promise you one thing, and that then they can blame it on someone else why the promise isn't going to come true. So back to step one about the 3 different reasons why a person ends up doing what they say that they're not going to do. I encountered Rick Conti this is a separate situation. I encountered Rick Conti on his promises to me about selling me a car at MSRP, and then that he would never sell a car above MSRP. I encountered multiple different situations because it was like, okay, we got it resolved. No, we don't. Okay, we got it resolved. No, we don't. Okay, another person's promised me that they're going to sell me the car at MSRP. No, they're not. And it's not just Conti who does this. It's many representatives at Coughlin Automotive who want to seem like they're your friend. And this is the thing that I keep hearing from all of you. Conti's my friend. Conti's my friend. Guys, I thought Conti was my friend too. We'd had a lot of good, close encounters. More than just, hey, I'm a customer and I walked in and Conti treated me with a bunch of respect and he texts me from time to time. No, guys. Conti and I had hung out. We had gone out and done adventures together. We'd been through a lot of different things together. We'd made videos on YouTube together. He put me in his videos. I have reason to believe that I'm a little bit closer friends with Conti than the vast majority of you who are like, oh, I'm friends with Conti. What I'm trying to explain to you is that friendship goes out the window when shady business practices and making a little bit more extra money are involved. Conti and the employees at Coughlin make the choice to go the other way. I don't care what's in their minds. I don't care what they want to argue their intentions are. It's fact, guys. It's fact. It's physical reality. You're either stepping in the square or you're not stepping in the square. You're either selling me the car at MSRP or you're not selling me the car at MSRP. Now let's hear your excuse for why you're not selling me the car at MSRP. So in the beginning, Rick's excuses were, oh, it's above my pay grade. It was decided by, the owners and John and the general manager. It's above my pay grade. Okay, so who do I need to talk to? You need to talk to John, the general manager. So I talked to John on several occasions, and I finally, on the third occasion that I talked to John, he assures me on an over hour-long phone call that if he promises me something, it is going to come true, that his word is the end all, do all, end all, and that's it. Then, as I explained in the last video, and by the way, he promised me that I'm getting car number 9, Z06 number 9 at MSRP. Then, as I explained in the last video, one of the previous videos, about my, basically grievances with Conti and Coughlin, and basically how this all came to be, about why my opinion is what it is of them, that they do go inside the square, that they say that they're not going to go inside, that they cannot be trusted. Basically, not trusted all the time. I'm sure there's instances where they've done what they said that they're going to do. Rick's done what he said he was going to do on other things. I'm not going to say that Rick always lies about everything. But what I'm saying is when there's big money involved, they are very easily tempted to come up with one of the three excuses, if not all of the three excuses, for why they stepped inside the square after they promised you that they would not. Okay? So John promised me that I was going to get car number 9. And I left it at that. I was happy. I was content. So then I took it a step further after I'd already been promised car number 9, and I told Conti that when that car comes in, I would still pay for it in full, but I wanted to figure out a way that he and his son could be insured on it and that they could take it to the racetrack. I was such good friends in my mind with these guys and so appreciative of the fact that they were standing by their word and selling me the car at MSRP that I am trying to figure out how to give Rick Conti and his son a $150,000 car, no money out of their pocket, to go drive at the racetrack. This is fact, guys. I will swear in front of a judge of the federal or state or county that is a fact, because it is a fact. That is how much my friendship, how much I appreciated what they were doing for me and being men of their word. Basically, what ends up happening is car number 9 comes and goes. There's a website called c8tracker.com, and c8tracker.com allows you to see just how many Corvettes of any given kind have been delivered to a place like Coughlin Automotive or any other Chevrolet store. Okay? So once you understand that, now the next question is, what happened after car number 9 had been delivered and you didn't get it, Brandon? Did you throw a big fit? No, you know what? I let it go for a little bit. I think I even made like a generous gesture YouTube video where I said, you know, Coughlin sold. I kind of gave them like fair warning that I knew. I said, Coughlin sold car number 9 out from under me, but without telling me, but that's all right as long as they get me a car here soon. So now I'm still going to Coughlin and still getting my car serviced there. Okay. This is really important because this is a separate topic and this is a really big deal, guys. I talk about tire pressure a lot. You're going to find out why I talk about tire pressure. I already knew that it was an issue. It wasn't Coughlin Automotive who taught me that tire pressure is a big issue, but it was Coughlin Automotive and their employees who reminded me what a big issue tire pressure was. Once again, it wasn't because of their words. It was because of the box that they stepped into. Now, I don't fault Chuck tremendously on this, okay? Because he's doing what General Motors tells him to do. But what I did have a problem with is that General Motors, or that Chuck changed my tire pressure without warning me about it. But that is, to Chuck's defense, that is Chevrolet's protocol, to have their dealers and their dealer techs change your tire pressure when your car comes in for service. So I'm going to cut to the chase here, guys. I really don't wreck cars. I don't lose control of vets, and if I do, it's not very often. One of the few times in my life where I've lost control of a Corvette is shortly after leaving Coughlin Automotive, because Chuck followed GM protocol to change my tire pressure. They didn't tell me, okay? Neither here nor there. I didn't go in and cuss out Chuck. I didn't go in and file a complaint. I didn't go to the courthouse and try to sue the guys. I sucked it up, but I lost control of my car driving down I-77 in the rain. Down through West Virginia on I-77, it started raining, and I wasn't even going the speed limit. I was going below the speed limit, and I could not keep it together. The car got all crazy. I got it back. Car got all crazy again. I got it back. I'm surrounded by cars and semi-trucks. I got nowhere to go. I can't just lock up my brakes. I got a car behind me. I got a car beside me. I got a semi-truck beside me. I got a car in front of me. I'm boxed in, and my car starts getting super squirrely. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? For those of you who don't know, but first and foremost, let me go ahead and end the story. I end up by choice, as the car kept getting squirrely over and over, I ended up by choice going into the median. At 60, 70 miles per hour, I go into the grass median and spin, okay? And then I almost get stuck in the median. And I made a video about it. I made a fun video to see, this is one of the things that I wish other people had. Yes, I'm critical of people, but I'm also critical of myself. I also make fun of myself. I made a video and showed that I was stuck in the ditch and that I'd lost control of the car. It was very hard for me to get out of this ditch. It took me like minutes and minutes to get out of the ditch because the car couldn't climb up the hill to get back out of the ditch. Luckily, I was on an inclined slope. The road was going up a hill where I lost control. So I was able to go down the hill and kind of get my momentum and get back up out of the ditch. So I go to the gas station. So I look at my tire pressure. First thing I look at after I'd spun in the ditch, I'm like, what's my fucking tire pressure? What the hell happened? I'm in the mid-20s. I'm at like 25 PSI, guys. We're going to explain how that happens in a second. And this is something that General Motors needs to be notified about. And this is something that I thought, based on my amazing friendship with Conti, that he would happily have Chuck do a Tech Tuesday on and explain to all of you how serious this is. Okay? Give me 1 second here. I gotta do something here. I trade options a lot during the day. And so that was my expectations of our simple friendship, where I've already offered Conti to be able to drive the car with his son, okay? that he just needs to figure out how to get insurance on it and to be thinking about it. And I was serious. I don't bullshit, guys. I'm not a bullshitter. If I say something, by now, you know, I tell the truth. I don't just, I'm a man of my word. And so I don't just run around promising things and try to get people's hopes up to get them to like me. This was something that I genuinely thought about. And I called up Rick Conti after I had broken up with a girl and I was down and in the dumps in my mood. And I said, you know what? I really want you and your son to be able to enjoy this car, and I really appreciate you and your company sacrificing money. Give me a second here, I gotta sell this. Option. Okay. So, thank you, General Motors. Your stock went up today, and I just bought calls on it and almost doubled my money. So, like that opportunity. But anyway, I'm glad it fell yesterday and bounced a little bit this morning. Maybe it's going to continue to go up, but when you can double your money, double your money. Okay, so so let's see here. So I had certain expectations, and maybe my expectations were too high, but I figured that the classy thing or the friendship thing for Rick to do is I put up a post on Facebook and I explained it in thorough detail, and I explained that I wasn't faulting Coughlin Automotive. So I put up this post on Facebook, and the post on Facebook basically says, General Motors practice with their dealers to tell dealers to change our tire pressure without notifying us that they've done so. That's flawed. We need to be notified when they do it. The other thing that they need to do is they need to change their practice of how this works. So let me explain. And this is kind of technical stuff. And unfortunately, when I try to explain technical stuff, oftentimes I lose Conti. Okay? Everybody has different skills. For those of you who don't know, people who are like autistic or on the spectrum, they can have gifts mathematically, logically, mechanically. Rain Man can count cards with Tom Cruise. You got these different people who can play musical instruments. They're very good at doing something. If I were to say that I'm quote unquote autistic or on the spectrum because I have a weakness with speaking compared to Rick Conti, Conti's better at speaking than I am. Okay, I give credit where credit's due. My weakness, I'm really glad I just sold those calls, by the way. they went from 80 cents back down to 60 cents. So anyway, I apologize, but that was big money right there, guys. So anyway, okay, so Rick Conti's weakness, see, I have a weakness, and Rick Conti's weakness is he's not very mechanically inclined. He's getting better. I'm really proud of the guy because he makes attempts to improve. That's a good thing. I wish more of you were that way. What I have a problem with is when he knows that I know my stuff, and all of a sudden this weird disrespect starts coming out where when I explain something to him, he goes on YouTube and explains the total opposite. That's weird. To me, that's a slap in the face. That's saying, hey, Brandon, I either didn't listen to what you said and or I don't care what you said because I think that you're a total idiot and I think that you're wrong. And or option 3 is, I know you're right, Brandon, but I'm going to try to get underneath your skin and lie to the public because who cares? I'd rather piss you off. So there's those 3 options. New square, kind of, if you will. 3 more logic. See, this is how my mind works, guys. This is how I think all the time, but I think it like this at light speed. It's very difficult for me to verbalize all the things that go through my mind in a series of milliseconds. I can size people up and know exactly it's this option, this option, this option, and I know it's not this option, and I know it's probably not this option because I believe what he said about this other thing, so it's got to be this option. I can do that and figure people out very quickly. So I'm kind of like a liar's worst nightmare. I'm a malicious person's worst nightmare because I can spot it and size it up very quickly, okay? So with all that said, give me a second here. I want to look and see what's going on. We might buy these again now that it's down to 50 cents instead of 80. We'll let that continue down a little bit. So with all that said, let me make sure I sold those, by the way. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So with all that said, this tire pressure thing, guys, this is a really big one. It can get you killed. It's super, super important. So I put up a post on Facebook explaining the tire pressure situation. And let's just do this. Let's segue to another video because this video is already a half an hour long, and that's my bad, my apologies. Let's segue here to another video. We'll do part 2 of this, and it's going to get extensively into tire pressure and how important tire pressure is and why it can spin you off the road if it's wrong. And so anyway, end of that video. Thank you.